Spring right now, Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia. He's a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. And Senator, I will defer to you because I'm sure you will be able to be far more articulate than me when talking about how preposterous it is that a lackey of Iranian state media is lecturing the captain of the USA men's soccer team.
Well, and yeah, if he could lecture the U.S. team if during Black Lives Matter protests, the U.S. government went out and mowed down all the protesters. Instead, many officials in the U.S. government, like senators and House members, joined in peaceful protests. The difference is a society that allows peaceful protest and learns from it to progress, and one that ruthlessly suppresses it. And look, Joe, you guys know this. We're seeing it all around the world, these authoritarians that think they can just dictate terms for everybody else. In China, they're finding they can't. In Iran, they're finding they can't. In Russia, Putin is finding that he can't just take over property in another country and have it go his way. Authoritarians are learning some painful lessons because regular, everyday people are willing to stand up, and that should make us all feel very, very proud.
In light of the protests in China, so much has been made about maybe some sort of a renewed approach toward a relationship with China. How do these protests play into that and also the global economy?
Well, you're right. The global economy, wobbles when China's uncertainty is out there. But nevertheless, you got to stand for human rights. If there's an economic cost to some instability in China, but that instability is driven by people standing up for themselves, then we got to stand with them. The war in Ukraine, obviously, Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine is creating economic consequences, but we got to stand with Ukraine's pro-democratic forces, even when there's economic challenges. What about more cooperation with China? You know, this is a tough world, as you guys know. So often you've got a nation that is at once a trading partner and a cooperator in some ways and a competitor in others and an adversary in others, and you have to manage all that at once. I hope we might continue to look for ways to work with China on things like climate change or humanitarian relief. If we could do things together to avert hunger in parts of the world that are affected by drought or that hit hard by, declining food exports out of Ukraine, then we should try to do that. But it's hard to balance all those things at once, I admit.
Senator, good morning. I want to ask you about the gun violence that's taken place inside your state just in the last couple of weeks. Just two horrific incidents within the space of a couple of days. The most recent, the 6 people killed inside a Walmart. Before that, those 3 University of Virginia football players killed by a former teammate. There is some talk in this lame duck session of attempting at least an assault weapons ban on the AR-style weapons that have been used in so many of these mass shootings. Is there any hope? Is it folly to think that something like that could go through? And if not, what do you take away from the shootings in your state?
Well, Willie, I mean, first, it's almost PTSD for me because I've been dealing with this for too long. I was the mayor of Richmond when it was the second highest homicide city in the United States. We brought homicides down. I was the governor of Virginia when the shooting happened at Virginia Tech. I hate seeing these happen again and again in Virginia and elsewhere. Here, I support an assault weapons ban. I support something that I think would even be more effective, which is a ban on high-capacity magazines. I don't believe we have the votes right now in the Senate for it, but I hope we'll put it up for a vote. Let's at least have people declare where they are on this. But here's what I'm sort of focused on right now. In the shootings at Virginia, and in Colorado Springs and in Chesapeake, in each instance, there were some warning signs that likely were missed. People saw things, but they weren't sure how to respond to them. And so often in shootings like this, that is a factor. And I think we maybe need to dig into that a little bit more and equip employers, but also just everyday citizens. Here's what you should do to try to help somebody, not to punish them, not to arrest them, but to try to help somebody if you see them sort of going off the rails. Virginia and Colorado both have extreme risk protection order, red flag laws, but the evidence suggests that they're being implemented in an inconsistent way depending upon which county somebody lives in. If a Colorado sheriff says, I'm a Second Amendment sanctuary, I'm not going to enforce the law, well, then it doesn't get enforced, in the next county over it does. We did a little bit of that work in the gun bill that we passed here in Congress a few months ago. So we ought to be looking at these laws and trying to figure out ways to make sure that they're consistently enforced.
Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.